Hello, citizens of the verse. Let's talk about piracy. More specifically, the role that pirates are going to be playing in 3.0. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I first heard that piracy was going to be encouraged and expanded upon in the new update, I was scared. And not in the mommy, there's something hiding in my closet kind of scared, but in a full-blown apocalyptic the sky is burning kind of way. My fear was that, now mind you, this is using the current 2.6 system of gameplay as a template to go by, that if you started to encourage pirate attacks on cargo haulers, it would quickly degenerate into chaos, ending with hordes of marauders camped outside of each truck stop that would attack anyone that attempted to cross through their blockade and destroying anything they couldn't rob. And as soon as they got killed or ran out of ordnance, they would just respawn a ship and get right back into it. It would be the death of cargo hauling before it even begins. Now, I climbed down off the ceiling once I read that in 3.0 they're also going to be introducing the first iterations of real persistence into the world to counterbalance this from happening. Persistence means that ships are going to respawn with their damaged states still present till you fix them. Ammo and missiles will no longer respawn. You need to pay to replace them, and if your ship is destroyed, you're going to have to make an insurance claim to get it back, and then have to wait an appropriate amount of time before the new ship is delivered, or pay an inordinate premium to get it back quickly. A successful pirate is now going to have to put as much planning into their attacks as a cargo hauler would put into setting up a trade route. A pirate's level of profit is going to depend on min-maxing every raid, because every little expense incurred during an attack is going to eat away at your profit margin. Expenses like stocking up on quantum fuel, repairs done to your ship, resupplying ammunition, and rearming missiles are going to greatly affect your take-home. If a target starts to fight back, it's going to be important to recognize when it's time to cut your losses and leave. This means that you're going to have to be much more selective when choosing prey and more cunning in your plan of attack. Persistence breeds a level of accountability that's going to start to create the kind of gameplay that they're going for with regards to pirating. Inexperienced pirates are probably still going to try and attack any ship that they come across and grief any player that refuses to capitulate to their demands, but that kind of behavior is going to quickly leave you with a ship that's riddled with damage, expended missile racks, empty ammo clips, and nothing in your bank account to show for it. This will quickly force even the most novice pirate to rethink how far they're willing to press each robbery attempt. The LA office has already put the final touches on the AI's ability to fly a ship. This includes landing, taking off, and navigating between jump points. If all goes well, this function is going to become an integral part of the 3.0 update for pirates. What this also creates is the base level of missions for pirates to undertake, where they can perfect their robbing techniques on AI pilots before taking on other players. The Hull C has already been labeled as the most common vehicle in the verse, and a majority of NPC-related quests are going to most likely involve this ship to one degree or another for both pirates and lawful characters alike. The creation of a fleet of AI-driven Hull Cs who embark on an endless trek from one truck stop to another could be a great addition to 3.0. One that increases the level of immersion by building a populated universe while also providing targets for pirates to attack and lawful players to defend. I have a very distinct vision of how a raid on a Hull C would go down. Your Cutlass Black pulls up alongside a hull that's been temporarily disabled, either due to interdiction fire, a well-placed EMP blast, or has been sucker punched into submission. The shields are down, allowing the Cutlass to start locking onto crates and pulling them off using their tractor beam. You only have a certain amount of time before the ship becomes operational again, and either quantum travels out of there or a small group of fighter craft ends up arriving to help. Either way, you're going to have to act quickly and get out of there before it becomes more trouble than it's worth to keep pressing the attack. The mechanics of the tractor beam haven't been fully nailed down yet, at least not to any degree that I've been made aware of. If anyone has this information or links to any previous articles or videos done by CIG on tractor beams that they'd like to share, then please feel free to post them in the comments. I could easily see the tractor beam being modular in a way that allows for it to sacrifice range for a wider area of effect. That way you could get up close and pull entire groups of boxes off your target at once, or stay back and yank them off one at a time from a distance, which would make it easier for the rear tractor beam operator to collect them. The Cutlass would pull up alongside the Hull C and start tearing off crates. I envision locking onto a crate and slamming on the brakes to rip it free as it comes tumbling backwards towards the Cutlass. The rear tractor beam operator would then grab each crate in turn as it comes flying past the rear of the ship, and then pulling it into the hold to be stowed away with the rest of the booty. A good rear tractor beam operator will be able to pull in cargo fast without missing a beat. How well the pilot and the rear tractor beam operator work together will determine how quickly you end up filling up the hold. A well-coordinated team could fill up a cutlass after one attack on a hull C, while a sloppy crew is going to miss crates, forcing you to break off the attack to go fetch them or abandon the derelict cargo once support for the haulers has arrived. Poorly coordinated teams will end up taking 2 or 3 runs to gain the same amount of loot that a well-oiled team could get in a single raid on a hull C. The ambush is going to be a common tactic used by small groups of pirates. It would entail getting someone to call in a fake distress call to ask for repairs, refueling, medical help, and so forth. The ambushers will be waiting just a quick jump away or hidden behind some conveniently placed asteroids or other obstruction. Whoever called in the request will be acting as the point man and give the signal when the other pirates should close in. This will be a good way to collect support ships for your pirate fleet, or to be sold or stripped down for parts. When ambushing cargo haulers, the pirate group would set up just outside of a trading center or close to the place where ships are going to be arriving just after jumping into the area. The pirates would quickly close in using warlocks to EMP them or using sucker punches to disable the ship. Responses from the trade center could come at any moment, so the team is going to have to work fast to unload the ship's goods and get out of there before help can arrive. Interdiction is something that I wanted to briefly mention because in the future this is going to be a huge part of raiding ships. For now, I can't comment on any interdiction weapons just yet. The specifics of that mechanic haven't been flushed out, but it's going to be something that either pulls you out of quantum drive or prevents you from going into any of these fast transit modes. The mechanic is going to need a lot of work before it's ready to be integrated into the game, and may not be a viable gameplay option till well after 3.0 has been released. They haven't given any specifics about this feature or a timetable for it, but I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about interdiction sometime in the near future. Hidden within one of the moons of Crusader is a drug lab, where if you show up with the right mix of common ingredients, you can cook up small batches of very expensive product that can be smuggled into the more populated locations and sold for a sizable profit. Finding this lab and knowing what mixture of chemicals to use will only be half the battle. Staying alive long enough to finish creating a batch and getting out of there will be the real issue. There's going to be plenty of pirates who feel that it makes more sense to simply camp outside the lab and ambush people as they're leaving. Plus, that seems like more of a piratey way to acquire your drugs. An innovative pirate could seize possession of the lab for an extended period of time and offer up their drug-making talents to anyone else who arrives in exchange for ingredients to use, their protection while they cook, and a small cut of the product. You could keep this up till you've acquired enough contraband to fill up the back of your cutlass and then go make a killing off a single drug run. One of the most common defenses against a pirate attack is for a cargo hauler to hire fighters to escort them from port to port. A good escort ship is going to be fast and well armed. During an attack, their first move will be to run interference and block any of the pirates' interdiction ships, giving the haulers time to spool up and get away. If the pirates can cause enough damage to the escorts, they'll be forced to break off, leaving the main ship exposed and vulnerable to attack. A good counter tactic to this would be for the pirates to pose as an escort ship for a cargo hauler. Once you're outside of monitored space, the pirate can call in their buddies to jump to his position, and instead of protecting the cargo vessel, they'll attack and disable it. If they're grouped up and the cargo ship somehow manages to get away, the pirates will still be able to track them. The reputation system will prevent a player from using this tactic very often, but it can be a very effective method to ambush a ship if the opportunity presents itself. A more passive method for getting pirates off your back will require a ship that has some form of internal storage or the ability to manually detach a portion of their goods that are mag locked down. If a pirate attacks, the pilot will open the back of the hatch and vent a certain amount of cargo out of the ship. The idea is that the pirates will break off the attack and go for the abandoned cargo, allowing the ship to escape unharmed while sacrificing only a minimal amount of their haul. The pirate would only get a small amount of the potential haul, but for the effort, it comes at no cost to them, with no damage incurred to their ship, and didn't require a shot to be fired. Since the goods are freely abandoned, it may not even further mar the pirate's reputation or even count as a crime. This has been referred to as the pirate tax, and some merchants may even buy a little extra cheap cargo to use just for this purpose. The Wanda level is a means to discourage pirates from killing other players and encouraging them to draw the line at stealing cargo rather than becoming a full-on marauder, by taking things too far and destroying waylaid ships and killing its occupants. Levels of criminal behavior are going to have further reaching implications, but exactly what those are is still being worked out. It could be tied in with the difficulty level of further missions, or it could deny you access to specific landing areas. Some locations like Delmar may be tolerant of people with a checkered past, but not for people who have acquired a bloodthirsty reputation. Or perhaps prices for resupplies and repairs will skyrocket for people with bad reps, since no one will want to risk dealing with them, but might begrudgingly do so if they're compensated handsomely for it. The Drake lineup of ships has been designed to complement one another and shows how pirating was never intended to be a one-man practice. It's going to be about working in tandem with others. The example that was given by Matt Sherman was that even in the romanticized Caribbean era of pirating, it was never Blackbeard himself alone on his ship, it was Blackbeard and his crew. Pirating is going to be designed so that even a small group of 3 to 5 players should be able to get a very satisfying pirate experience. Even just 2 ships like a Buccaneer and a Cutlass would pair up very well together. It looks like Miles is going to be putting more than one person on a mission at a time, causing some level of competition among quest takers. Placing a pirate on the same quest as another player makes the most sense. This creates a very cut and dry situation. You're a pirate, and they're prey. They're collecting something, and you're here to make sure they don't get it. The idea is very interesting and a lot more imaginative than simply setting up PvP areas like Korea that has mindless combat with no real objective to it. This new idea introduces tactics into the scenario and a potential for setting up ambushes and clashes between players that can occur on the ground or in space. It adds a level of complexity to certain missions that could provide a countless number of gameplay opportunities. Insurance is an integral part of owning a ship. It's the one thing that keeps you from permanently losing something that you've paid actual money for. If a pirate couldn't insure their ship, that means it would just simply go away after it blows up for the first time, and nobody's going to take that risk. But what legitimate company would insure a pirate? Being caught in an act of piracy seems like the kind of thing that would nullify one's insurance claim. Not being able to insure your ship would be a death sentence for people who chose to embark on a life of piracy, but how would having LTI on your ship work in that situation? Would it nullify that as well? Luckily this isn't the case, and pirates are not going to be discriminated against from having insurance. CIG has mentioned the idea of a pirate insurance policy, which kinda makes me laugh a little bit, seeing how I already look at the whole institution of insurance as its own flavor of piracy. But instead of it being a pirate insurance agency, it would be more of a criminal syndicate or a bounty hunting guild who may hold a vested interest in taking care of you. It would be less of an insurance claim as it is a kind of specific deal that you make with them, that in the end tends to work out exactly in the same way that insurance does. It's just viewed through a different kind of lens. So your LTI will still count, and instead of paying premiums, you may be paying dues or protection fees or whatever they want to call it, to keep your service active. And of course, expediting your claim for getting a new ship will be looked at more as a bribe to help grease the wheels of progress, so to speak. Large pirate orgs in SC are going to be more akin to actual crime syndicates like the Cosa Nostra, Mafia, or Yakuza, just to name a few real-world examples. Think of how large those groups are and how far their influence bleeds into everyday society. Keeping a group of that size running is going to require a huge network of legitimate operators to support it. They're going to need repair crews to keep their ships functional, miners to supply them with raw materials to use, medical personnel, scouts, refueling ships, even a science branch and groups of explorers. Most of all, they're going to need a network of informants to keep tabs on where the most expensive cargo can be found and where it's going to be hauled to. Knowing a convoy's routes and defenses are going to be paramount in mounting a successful and lucrative raid against huge caravans of cargo haulers, the kind that are worthy of an entire org's attention. Here's a scenario that would require the full resources of a large org to pull off, the value of which becomes immediately apparent. It's no secret that at some point in SC's creation you'll be able to act as a crew member aboard a larger ship. The better your reputation, the better the ship you'll be able to get on board. After all, if I was sourcing for potential crewmates, the first thing I would look at would be their reputation. The pirate org would take one of their own who is either new enough not to have any negative marks against their record, or are willing to pay to have that player's past incursions wiped from their record. From there, every captain in the pirate org would mark them as having crewed with them on a previous mission while giving them full stars or whatever the labeling system is going to be. So within a short period of time, the plant's going to appear to be not only legitimate, but an excellent crew member as well, one who has all the credibility needed to crew something massive like a Hull E. Once on board, the plant could either subdue the other members of the crew or simply commandeer the ship and take it to a prearranged spot that's been set up by the pirate org. Once they arrive, the plant can power down the ship and let the invading attackers on board, taking the ship effortlessly. That's how you can plunder the goods from a Hull E without firing a shot. This is just an example of how potentially creative pirate organizations can end up being in setting up future heists. As with all systems that are being put into play, this level of pirating is only the first in many iterations, and as a result will be constantly changing. Player feedback is going to be very important, not only in vocalizing what you don't like, but also what you do like about it. Although it may not feel like it at times, CIG is always listening, as someone over there is always going to be busy reading your emails and posts on the forums. When people keep reiterating the same concerns online, it just empowers designers with the ammunition they need to fight for your cause during their next design meeting. Well, that's all I have to say about a career in pirating and how it pertains to the new 3.0 update. I hope this has been informative, if not at least entertaining for you. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to be seeing you again in the next video.